KARDS Developer AMA on the 25th of September. It's the last Friday of the month, so we are back here to answer your questions. With me, as always, is Guðmundur Kristjánsson. Gumi, how are things going?
It's great. We're here at the office. We are, of course, taking some precautions, like under the circumstances is appropriate.
Yes, for anyone that doesn't know, Iceland is currently experiencing another spike in COVID. So there's have been a lot of infections recently, and that's why we're working remotely, at least in part. Gumi has to be in the office for some technical reasons, so he's taking every precaution that he can to make sure that he stays safe. How are you going to drink that, Gumi?
That doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work.
Here. Otherwise, I would wear the whole thing. But
I'm pretty sure you would, you would probably suffocate.
Yeah.
You would probably suffocate if you ended up wearing that the entire time. So I'm coming at you from home. Gumi is coming at you from the office. So let's just get started and jump into question number 1. This one is from JKing7. When will we see an updated roadmap?
Well, that's a very good question. I like that question. It's a great question. So I talk like politicians. But it is a good question because the answer is pretty clear. We're going to update the roadmap, the public roadmap, no later than in 2 weeks. Hopefully before that time. Probably some of you noticed that we already pulled the old version out from our Steam page. That's because we are updating it. And it will have some exciting new stuff on it.
Yeah, we've pretty much been spending a lot of time kind of refocusing our efforts and making sure that we're heading down the right path. And you've kind of seen some early examples of that work with the login rewards and other stuff. So really excited to publish this roadmap. All right, let's jump directly into the next question. Should we expect a similar schedule for this year's expansion? Reveals in November and an early December release.
I don't think necessarily you should expect that. You should not really expect anything specific. We will reveal it as it goes along, but you should definitely expect an expansion in late this year, the winter expansion. But after that, we'll see.
Yeah, we're currently in full swing on preparing the winter expansion, so it's going to be an exciting one.
Yes.
All right, next one, and this is something that you can probably give some insight into, Gumi. I don't have that much insight into it, but how are the new cards designed, and how long is the process, and who is involved?
That's another very good one with a long answer. Like now, we are working on the next expansion, and our lead game designer, Hrafnkell Óskarsson, Keli, he is the one mainly in charge of designing the new cards. I myself am also quite much involved. And maybe the first thing that happens is that we come together along with some others in the company as well, and we draft of kind of the outlines of what we want the theme of the expansion to be, what kind of balancing goals we want to achieve with it, and things like that. And then also what artwork we already have, licensed and so on, also plays a part in what exact units we select and so forth. It is a gradual and pretty long process. I mean, we've been working already on this expansion for quite heavily for a month or so, and we'll continue to do so. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. And then you have people like me that has opinions on cards and then voices those opinions. So there's always a round of feedback as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. Within the company, within the whole company, some of the programmers are also really involved and have strong opinions. And then, of course, we also have playtesters from the community that we involve early on. That's really important also for us to get fresh eyes on our initial designs.
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's bring up the next one. Can you reveal any more information about the World Championship? What are the odds of someone new getting in versus one of the OCC vets? So this is one of the 3 questions about the World Championship that were submitted. So I'm just gonna tackle all of them now. They were from J King, Blue Blast, and Ari Big Ben. So the World Championship, we're actually just around the corner from releasing a new article updating everyone on how that's gonna go. Obviously, the world has been a little bit of a mess in 2020 so far, and COVID is still really hindering a lot of live sports. So we made the decision that we are not going to be flying people out to Iceland this time around. There are a couple of factors that go into that. That decision might have been different if we weren't going through a second wave right now. And we don't really know even if we can offer to fly people to Iceland. So another thing that happens is that with all the kind of rustling of resources and being a new game that's out, we don't have the same kind of developer and in-game programmer resources to drive the tournament completely through the client like we did last year. Turns out there's a lot less pressure and a lot fewer things to do when you're early access than when you're a released game. So what we're going to be doing instead is that the remaining 64, we've already qualified 64 players through the last 6 months of the ladder. The remaining 64 players are also going to be qualified off the ladder in October, and it's going to be one big batch. So with the people that have already qualified on the ladder, I would expect the cutoff to be maybe around rank 150 or something. So, October is your season to grind the ladder if you want to get into the World Championship. And we felt like this was a decent landing for us given kind of the difficulties we were facing, because this ensures that dedicated and skilled players that go grind that ladder are qualifying for the tournament, and we're really excited to see kind of what that brings. And it gives us a month where there's something more to play for on the ladder than just the top 12 in the officer club. So that's going to give us some interesting data as well to see, to take into kind of how we structure ranked rewards moving forward and how we keep people motivated on the ladder. Then the next stages, they're going to be Swiss rounds. So the last time when we went from 128 down to 4, we did it through a single elimination bracket. But single elimination bracket in card games introduces a lot of variance, right? You can just be unlucky with draws 2 out of 3 games, and then all of a sudden you just lost your series and you're out of the World Championship. So instead, those 128 players will compete in 2 separate Swiss tournaments, each qualifying the top 8 players. So we're going to have a 128-person Swiss tournament and a 120-person Swiss tournament. Each one is going to be around 7 rounds of Swiss. So there's going to be plenty of matches to make sure that the most skilled and most consistent players are the ones that are making it to the finals. The finals are then going to be played online on the 5th and 6th of December. And we're going to be competing for a prize pool of $10,000. So that's the World Championship update that I could give you. Yes, King, we will expand the size of the in-game ranked leaderboard so you're able to see everything that you need to see. All right.
Oli, you have your minions with you.
Yes, I do. Let's jump into the next question, and while I take care of my son here, you can answer this one. There we go.
Yeah, this one has been, we've had this one before. we've definitely discussed it. We haven't really reached. I mean, we will definitely get some more statistics, but what exactly we want to show is still up for debate. So I mean, I don't think there is much more to say about that.
No.
Weekly, monthly goals. Is this something like the daily missions or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
seasonal ladder, or what? Do you know what this one is about?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically just can we get more reasons to play on a regular basis? And I kind of just typed out a good answer to this earlier. I mean, basically, what we are doing right now is we're revamping the entire kind of progression system and in-game system. So everything that you think about in the game currently, that is like your motivation to play, or I'm heading down this path, or I need to get from here to here, that's probably going to change. And the way that is going to be structured is going to give motivation for everyone to play on a regular basis. It's not only going to be card rewards, we're also going to be seeing more of like cosmetic rewards. So you're going to have different motivators and different goals to work towards. And this new system is going to be much easier for us to implement, things like a weekly mission cycle or featured limited time event, because they're going to be built from the ground up, thinking about these types of events that we can do and how we can reach out to the community.
Yes, absolutely. I think you nailed it. I have nothing to add to that.
See, soon I'll be the creative director, right?
But
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's no way to replace you, Kubi. All right, the next one is, can we get the ability to organize the deck list?
yeah, that is definitely something we want to do, and we want to do it sooner than later. It's not really a big task for us, but we're still a bit overloaded. So every task is has to be weighed against something else. But I definitely want to go there as soon as possible. I mean, I feel it when I'm playing myself. It's
Mhm.
quite infuriating to have to scroll to the to the other page to select the deck that you are currently always playing.
Yes.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there could also be there could be some default ordering of them. You know, the one played last is always at the front or something like that. It doesn't have to be manual ordering necessarily.
Yeah, and I think the main thing here that we need to just make sure is that this isn't like a thing that sounds really small, but then turns out that you have to like change some fundamental things in the game, and all of a sudden it's like a 2-month programming project. And I think the reconnect feature is a great example of that. It's something that we've probably total had like 2 programmers out of 4 spend over a month on, or month and a half, in all our efforts to build the reconnect feature. And then if you think about being a small team like we are, that's taking like 50% of our resources to deliver anything into the game, new cards, new offers, new updates, like anything to make the reconnect feature. So sometimes these small quality of life features that we want to do really, really badly, and want it as much as you guys, sometimes they're just extremely, extremely hard to actually make happen, just because of something that was made maybe 3 years ago, didn't think about doing this feature. So I think that's something that is sometimes forgotten when we're talking about these seemingly small features, is that with a small team there are no small features. All right, next one. Can we add a nationality icon like a flag next to the player name?
We thought about this sometime really early on. We kind of decided not to because we didn't deem it like I mean, we didn't really see the relevance of why should it matter where you are playing from. But But then again, I mean, if a lot of people ask for something like this, then definitely consider it.
I think this also ties into, another thing that we are both becoming increasingly better at and are kind of focusing our efforts a little bit more on now than before, and that is just how do players express their identity and who they are in the game, right?
Yeah.
Currently we only have cardbacks, emotes, and table props, but something like a flag could make sense, right? But like we just don't know what makes sense there yet.
It could also make sense as, maybe a card back or something, then, or some kind of, you could, if you want to express this, then you are free to do it. I'm not sure necessarily everyone wants to express where they are playing from, while others might love it. So I think that's also a key in how we would design a thing like that.
That's actually crazy now that you say it. If I could get the Icelandic flag as a cardback.
You nationalist.
Hey, I mean we've been in one war, and that's the Cod War, and that's the one we beat the British at. So we have a good track record.
Good point.
All right, next one. Will there be more social features implemented in the future?
If you're talking about social features like building up on some additional features on the friends list and the ability of players to maybe, I mean, we had on the roadmap, we have pushed it a bit into the future. The squads feature, which is basically a simple clans or teams, feature where you could where players could play under a squad name and have a leaderboard and maybe play in tournaments together and things like that. I mean, that's something we really want to do as soon as we can.
Yeah, and for anyone that's listening, please tell us what kind of social features you would want, right? Because like social features is such a hard, nut to crack. It doesn't really tell people a lot. And if you look at where a lot of companies have failed in the past, they fail by trying to create, social media networks effectively on top of their product. But it turns out, people are already on their preferred social media and would rather talk about the game there instead of, through an entirely new platform that's only built around cards.
A great example of this is because both of us were working at CCP for a long time, and when social media was a bit young still, we tried to build a completely, in-game sort of social media platform there, and exactly what you described happened there. I mean, why would you want to be within the EVE Online Facebook when you already have the other Facebook? It doesn't make any sense. But that being said, when I'm looking at the screen now, you have us, we are very handsome here. Maybe, this could be a cardback. If you have the camera turned on you, then you would have a live, camera of yourself while you're playing, and then we could add some filters.
Dude, that would be amazing if you could have like a real life feed on top of your card of you like as a
Yeah.
dog or something. That would be amazing. Um, yeah, I think that would be great. And I think like social features as well. I mean, I would also say there are two types of social features. One is like I'm an individual and I can connect with other individuals in a meaningful way. The other is I'm a person that wants to build and curate a community and I need tools to do that, right? Those are two
Yeah.
very different use cases. One is like, a joint chat, moderating privileges, pinning messages, that kind of stuff. Whereas the other might be like an improved chat function, a better friends list, etc., etc. So, um, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one. Will the Battle of Britain cardback be available for gold soon?
It's a very nice cardback. I don't really think that we'll be selling that for gold at least not anytime soon. There are different reasons for that. I mean, we are pretty committed to keeping the cards themselves not behind any paywalls or anything like that. And all the cards should be available one way or the other for all players. While I think and we think that cosmetic items, props like the cardbacks and the props on the table and stuff like that we're going to be increasing quite drastically in the game in the near future. I think there is some value for players to be able to own a cardback that is pretty limited. Only a subset of players own it. It makes it more valuable as a collectible item that you want to show and things like that. And I mean, as these things have no real gameplay value, that's much easier than with the cards themselves. And I mean, this of course also ties into how we monetize the game. We're definitely going to be exploring dipping our toes further and further into the kind of cosmetics part of the game, and how, like Ole is talking about, that players can express themselves a bit through this stuff.
Yeah, I already teased this during Battle of Britain, but for instance, we're making like a commando-inspired knife, like as a table prop, and I'm known as a huge commando aficionado, and I can't wait. Gumi knows it. I've been asking like, when can I use it? When can I use it for like a month? So
we're gonna deduct it from your salaries.
yes, okay. I'm fine with that. I'll happily pay for that one. I will happily pay for that one. And that's like you said. I mean, that's our goal. Like for me, I'm a huge Commando fan, and that table prop is something that I would be really happy that the game was added into the game for me to buy, because it's just something that I really want.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and I mean, I think this also adding all these items and making the game more colorful, so to speak, really adds to the kind of design principle that we've always been following. That when you sit down and play cards, it should feel a bit like you're sitting at an actual table, actually playing cards. And if each session has something unique about it, that's even makes it all the better.
Absolutely. Let's go into the next question. Will the expansion this winter be available for pre-orders like Theaters of War?
Yes, I think that's a definite yes. What exactly, how the pre-order will work, that we can't really say at this moment. It might be access to a certain subset of cards from the expansion, or even the whole expansion a little bit earlier or something like that. But or just a good price. We haven't really decided.
Yeah. This is also, always a part of the ongoing work on, how we present new content into the game, how you earn it, how you buy it, etc., etc. So, next question: will the paywalled emotes be available for gold? I think this answer is largely the same as with the cardback, right?
Yes, I would definitely think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to make sure everybody that's really worried about like my light there not having a shade. I promise we're in the process of moving in. There's no pictures on the wall and half assembled furniture everywhere. There will be a lampshade. I promise. I promise. All right. Next question. When will we have a big and working cosmetic store in the game?
I think this is a great question for you to answer,
Yes. So,
because you love the cosmetics.
I do love the cosmetics. The cosmetics is like, that's my thing, right? I'm a skin fanatic. But this is something that we're changing drastically how we're working. Just to give you like an example, outside of the cosmetics that are in the game, we haven't really been producing a ton more cosmetics. But now we are, I think we have at least 10 items in the pipeline with at least 10 more items that we're working on.
Yeah. And then a pipeline setup that will just continue to produce various items throughout the next year.
Yes. So the question is, just how are we going to release them? How are players going to earn them or buy them? So we're working towards that. But I would expect in the next 3 to 6 months that we would have, enough cosmetics produced and enough clarity on the direction where we can take the cosmetics production. Enough feedback from you guys as well on what you want to see in the cosmetics department, to be able to do more and bigger things in the future and have that cosmetic store active. All right, next one. Will there be more game modes outside of ladder and draft? Give me 1 second.
We're definitely working on new game modes, but it's nothing we really want to talk about at this point. But there's definitely something on the drawing board. And yeah, I don't know what more to say about that. But Oli is gone to deal with his children, I think. But here he is.
I'm here.
Good to see you back.
Sorry.
Running into problems talking more about this, so it's good that you're back.
Okay. Should I talk more about it? Yes. So, I mean, the short answer is yes. There will be more game modes. Context-wise, it's all about resources, like we talked about earlier. Let's say we wanted to do, brawl mode, as an example, or something that would enable us to do something like brawl mode. We would have to table like half of the stuff that we could do within a given month to be able to do that. So when we look at the roadmap and we look at the current state of the game and where we can have the biggest impact, it's more around onboarding new players into the game and making sure that they find the experience enjoyable and that they are able to get to a point in their collection that they become regular players. If we were to, let's say, table all of that for 2 months and just build brawl mode, then eventually we're just serving a core player base that's going to dwindle over time, and we're not going to get any new players in. So this is all about, prioritizing resources into this. But as you might have seen, we're already kind of taking some steps into alternative formats and figuring out what is fun and what isn't as fun, with like the Battle of Britain, where we had mono British decks against mono German decks. And there's a question a little bit later about the Battle of Moscow. So we have some pretty cool ideas about a format around that as well. So we are starting to experiment with cards in different formats, with different structures, with different rules. And when we find something that is truly fun, you can expect that to turn up into the game when we can. Was that good enough?
Good enough for me.
Okay. All right, next one. When are we able to craft gold cards? Will there be an updated look for gold cards coming soon?
Yeah, soon is of course a subjective term, but yeah, definitely. I mean, we are aware that the gold cards are not really sexy enough, so we really want to improve the look and feel of them. As mentioned before, we are definitely working on a wildcard system. So the gold cards will have a different kind of different functionality than they have today.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think there's nothing that rules out that you will be able to craft them. And we'll definitely, we want to pimp the look of them.
Yeah. As you say, Gumi, as soon as like I feel like we skated a little bit over it, both in the video. So if you guys haven't watched the video that we posted on our YouTube channel where we talk a little bit to Gumi about the future of cards, go check that out. But there we talk about wildcards, and it's something that we've kind of skipped over a little bit. But I think it's going to be a huge change coming into the game, and it's going to do a lot when it comes to you know, simplifying how you kind of progress your collection. But at the same time, this takes out half of the current use of the gold cards, which means that we're going to have to find a very deliberate path for how you bling your deck now that these two things aren't kind of together.
Yeah, and I mean, we also have additional ideas that try out for the blinging part. But you know, if just to mention a little bit about the wild cards, I mean, like many of our players, of course, know this is not a completely unfamiliar thing. Both you know, Magic Arena and Legends of Runeterra use a wild card system, and it has become a pretty popular way to allow players to craft cards that they wanna add to their collection. And you know, that's just one of these things that we see that works really well for others. And of course, we're gonna do our little spin on it. You know, maybe it won't work exactly the same as the others do, but it's a much nicer way to achieve pretty much similar things like the resource system is doing in the gold cards for us today.
Absolutely. Um, So yeah, when we say wildcards, we are talking about, cards that can be made into any card of that rarity in the game, right? So you might get a special wild card, so that means you are able to pick what special card you want. And that idea here is that, we want players to have a little bit more control over which cards they get in what order, while they're working their way up so that they can kind of set a goal and work diligently towards it in the early parts of their journey instead of having to just going through the motions and all of a sudden running into a wall of players that have been there for a long time and so on. This is streaming on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. Ryan Dillon. All right, next question. Can resistance be nerfed or changed?
So we have a balancing patch coming out after the weekend. Or was it, when is it going out? Do you remember? You're muted.
Wait, I muted myself to answer this question. So I think it's scheduled for the 1st of October. A balance patch
Yeah.
plus
Yeah.
plus some new stuff. So
Of course, yeah, that's it. So yeah, at least in that one, I know that there is at least one card that directly affects resistance. So we're constantly looking at resistance, and it will end up being everyone's favorite feature in the end. But whether we're not there yet, maybe not.
I also think it was pretty interesting. There was a kind of interesting discussion about resistance that I was reading online the other day, and I think like resistance does capture the spirit of the French resistance really, really well, but it doesn't make for the most entertaining playstyle, right? So we were kind of getting credit for capturing the historical accuracy, but not for it being a good game mechanic. So I'm really excited to see how we can continue to stay true to that identity, but make it fun.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next one. When will the Mac client be released?
So that's in full swing now, and we are looking at releasing it in beginning of November.
Beginning of November.
Yeah, or even sooner if it's ready sooner, even mid-October if it goes well.
Wait, Kayla says that there's no changes to resistance cards in the next balance patch.
Oops.
Okay. Well, apparently something changed. We need to talk to Kelly. Oops.
Yeah, he
Ah,
showed some intended changes. He obviously pulled them back because he loves resistance. He wants to keep on torturing everyone with it forever.
no, I think like he's spending a lot of time and effort figuring out how to make it good. So, uh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Well, there almost were, but soon. And then Mac client in November. All right. Next question. What do you think about compos like baby compo? This is a question we've had before, so I'll just answer this one real quick. Um, these these combos we feel like is an important part of the game. If we remove everything that enables these type of combos, we just end up with like a pretty boring game. However, eh, the combos shouldn't be overpowering and over-represented. So we look really closely to see what's the win rate on these combo decks, how much are they being played, and so on. So even if we were to remove every combo from the game, you would still have the experience of queuing into ladder and possibly facing a deck that you might not stand a chance against, just because of the way that your deck is built and their deck is built. So we do think this adds depth to the game, and we want to keep it going, but we do take a good look and diligently research how these combos are being used and if they're impacting the game in a negative way. Next question. When will mobile be released?
So this one pops up every time. Early next year. That's basically as granular as we can get. I can tell you that we are working on it really hard, and that's one of the reasons why we are reluctant to do everything else that comes into mind. But mobile is not just about creating the mobile version itself, programming wise. It's also about building up the publishing strategy for it and think really hard about how we are going to roll out our mobile version, because it's a really big thing for us. But as you know, I mean, there are a billion mobile games coming out every day. There's a lot of noise, and we really want to do this right.
I also think, when I just so people know kind of how much we are working on this, a few of us have gotten our hands on it on mobile and tried playing around with it a little bit. And I've done I've done a significant of playing via remote desktop on mobile. So I'm kind of familiar with how the current PC experience translated over to mobile. And then when I got the mobile first version, it was just a completely different ball game. So I got increasingly convinced that we made the right call to spend some more time on it and make sure that it's a properly good experience.
Yeah, there is a lot that needs to be done about the whole UX of a game like that to work on it. I think that you can really see on many games, many card games and strategy games, the success of their mobile versions is often determined on how well they actually carefully they port the UI over the whole user experience to
Absolutely.
fit the device that you're playing.
All right, next question. Will there be more World War II era jets in the game?
Yes, why not? There were quite a few more jets that existed, and even if some of them were only prototypes and so on, you might see them at some point.
Yes. Um,
But they were all top secret projects, so we'll say no more.
and I just want to say to Lazy Lasagna, if he's really tilted that we said that we were changing resistance and then we're not doing it, that's 100% on me and Gumi. We have been talking about these changes for a while, but ultimately we do trust Kele for the final decision on when is appropriate to implement these changes. So We will get them in. We do know the situation with it, and we do look at all the metrics when we're looking at that. So we know exactly how many resistance games are played each day. You know how many resistance cards are put into enemies' hands per day. Good, your webcam turned off. So I do apologize for getting your hopes up, but yes. Gumi is coming back. Yeah, there he is. Now I need to fix this overlay thing. There we go.
I have no idea what happened. Do you hear me?
Yes, you're good. All right, next one. We're nearing the end, and this time we're kind of gonna stick to the schedule of an hour and not longer. I do have two.
But then you can also have the uncut version. It will be 4 hours.
Yes. But yeah. Next question. Yes. Next question. So, how is the education system in Iceland? Some employees seem to struggle counting to 7. Hi, that's me. I 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 12. Even my 4-year-old son is telling me that that was wrong. Uh, but for anyone that didn't watch the Battle of Britain, I completely miscounted and let Spoos kill me. So go watch the VOD on that if you want to understand why Ari Big Ben is making fun of me here in this AMA. Next one. Will there be more events like Battle of Britain soon? If so, any ideas when and how? Yes. So Battle of Moscow is coming up next week, and we've been doing a lot of things, but this morning I asked, hey, shouldn't we do kind of a Battle of Britain type broadcast around Battle of Moscow? And I have some ideas on how that could work and it could be fun. Uh, I mean, still, while we are kind of developing these formats, we can only kind of get away with invite tournaments around this, but we do hope the rest of you guys enjoy watching the show and learning kind of the strategies through it. But I would expect us to do something around Battle of Moscow, um, even as soon as like next week. So all right. So this is the last question that I typed into our overlay. There's one more that got asked on Reddit, and I'm gonna read that one. But this is, could you please rename the monthly OC championship to Open so Darkness could win a match there soon? Again, I just had to give Ari Big Ben the opportunity to do a little bantering here. But for anyone that doesn't know, Darkness is one of the greatest players in the game, and he did go undefeated in about 30 tournament matches in a row. And so with that, they actually ended up he ended up going like undefeated in. I decided that playing tag now was the great one. But yes, so yeah, he won like 30 games in a row in the open tournaments, won both cards open back to back, but hasn't been able to. Then won Battle of Britain, and then hasn't been able to find the groove in the OCCs. All right. See, they're getting a little bit restless, as you can hear. So I'm gonna read the last question here. One second while I get it up. Okay, my computer's being super slow. Do you guys have any, while I do this, do you have any questions in chat? Just real quick. I'll take at most 2 questions. Brothers. Okay. More nations. Yes. Soon. TM. Probably not this winter though.
No, probably not.
And then You mentioned the problem of having a small team as a limiting factor in adding the things you want in the time frame you want. Are you planning or able to expand the team, or is that not viable yet? We do want to expand the team, but that's not viable yet. We still have some milestones to hit. When can we change cardbacks and draft? As soon as possible, Gumi. That's a huge one, actually. We should make that available as soon as possible. I know that that's like difficult though. Okay, now we go to the thing. Yes, are we going to get any new music, animations, and sound effects soon? I love your game, but sometimes the sound can get pretty repetitive.
Yeah, that's a good question. We've been not focusing so much on the audio part lately. I really, though, as creative director, wanna work on some stuff there, both in terms of variety of sounds. Like, I mean, in the questions you're talking about repetitiveness, but also there are some unit types and things like that that just still need to have their own sounds and order types. I really want to work on adding more audio and visuals actually to the orders. So that's definitely on our list. And even if we have somewhat limited resources to do that in-house, that's stuff we are outsourcing. So we should be able to gradually keep working on that.
Yeah. Then there's can artillery be more balanced? I feel like I get killed by artillery spam a lot, and I think this is especially coming from kind of a player that's kind of not at the end of his card journey or like in the end game of things. Artillery is really strong early on in your journey, so I would say look for some of those removal cards that you can run into your decks to deal with those artilleries. They can often do great things. And then I see here one from USP Master. What happened to the dailies? Are they coming back? And I think that's it's a great opportunity for us to kind of address that here now, just to make sure that there's no misunderstandings. So the 8-day login reward system was built for new players, right? This is like you start the game. This is the first 8 days as you play. You get these rewards to kind of help you get going. But we didn't want to be one of those banks that or insurance companies that gives all the new customers great offers and great deals, but all the existing customers, get the shaft. So we decided to give this to everybody, regardless of how long you've been played or collection status. That also shows our appreciation for what you guys have been doing for us and supporting us playing cards, talking about the game, telling your friends. It does mean a lot to us. We wake up every morning, go to the office, and work 10, 12, 15-hour days because we're pursuing our dream, and it's not possible without you guys. All right. So, is there anything else? Do you want to say something to me?
No, not for me. I wanna just go out to the store, so I need to prepare.
Yes, make sure you don't get the corona.
That's for me.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for us this time around. We're clocking in at just around the 50-minute marks. I gotta go take care of my two boys. Gumi has to go get to the store. I'll come into the Reddit thread that where we were asking these questions. Let me just bring that up and post the link to that in chat. If you guys have more questions, type it in there, and I'll jump in maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, and give a written reply to those questions. So if we missed anything during this broadcast, you're able to kind of give us follow-up questions, and I'll make sure to give you guys an answer as much as I can. All right. Well, thank you all. We'll see you next time.